Well, hey everybody, what's up? This is Matthew. Thank you for checking into the YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about how to lead your family like a godly man. I don't know if you know this, but I have said it before that my audience here on YouTube is 80% men. Sometimes a little bit even more than that, 82, 83% men, very little female audience. And so most of the questions that I get when people email me or message me or even just kind of ask questions in the comments of the videos are related to guy stuff. We have a lot of pastors that watch the channel, a lot of want-to-be pastors that watch this channel, a lot of men that want to lead their families in the Lord. And so a common question that I've got many times is how exactly to lead your family in terms of, well, family worship for one thing, but also just kind of male strong Christian family leadership in general. So in this particular video, what I thought I would do is address how dads can best lead their families, in particular in family worship. Now, before I go further, let me just say a word to that 17% or 19%, whatever it is, of female viewers who maybe even a little bit less of that chunk of populace right there may be single moms or grandmothers who are trying to raise their children in the home. In the case of the lack of a strong, godly male leader, husband and dad or grandfather, moms, pretty much everything I'm going to say here is applicable to you too, depending on your family situation. So I don't want to necessarily assume that everybody's family is kind of that perfect Norman Rockwellian family from the 1950s or something like that. Although I do think that there is a very, very, very strong case for positive, male, healthy, vibrant Christian leadership in the home. So I am going to direct this video primarily to men, but again, if you're listening and you're a female and this situation just doesn't describe your household, try your best to import anything that I say that might be wise into your own situation, such as it is. Okay, so single moms out there, please don't feel excluded by this, but dads, I am primarily speaking to you. One of the things that's happening in our church here at Gospel Fellowship PCA is a very healthy dynamic of young Christian fathers who are really, really, really trying their best to lead their families in the Lord. I'm super thankful for that. We have a whole bunch of new members that have joined our church recently. Most of these families are in their 30s and they have 2, 3, 4, even 5 kids. And a lot of what we guys are talking about in the church and our men's Bible studies and things like that is how best to lead our families. Okay, so let's get into that. I'm going to give you 6 ways to lead family devotions or family worship time, however you want to describe it in this video. By the way, if you're new or visiting, my name is Matthew. I am one of the pastors here at Gospel Fellowship PCA. We are a Reformed Bible-believing church just north of Pittsburgh. If you're interested in a church like that, please come check us out. By the way, I really, really mean that. Gospel Fellowship has some of the most loving people in the whole world. I wish I could just pull you in the door and introduce you to some of our folks. So if you're interested in traditional, conservative, Reformed theology, high reverent view of worship, that's us, Gospel Fellowship PCA. There's some of my socials right there. I'm going to take that off the screen so you don't have to look at it throughout the whole video. All right. So dads, let's get serious about family worship. Now, I'm assuming, let's just say that you're doing nothing right now. You aren't doing anything as far as being a dad in terms of leading your family in worship. Here's the easiest way to start. Okay. So I'm going to call this the weekly. On the weekly, your job, dad, is to lead your family in some concerted discussion time, particularly on Sunday afternoons. Now, here's what I want you to do, dad. I want you to get everybody into the minivan. I want you to get them back to your house, sit them down at the table. Everybody's starving and ready for lunch. Hopefully there's something that's been cooking in the crock pot all morning long while you were at church. By the way, that's the best way to save time on the Lord's Day, so you can actually rest, throw stuff in the crock pot. It'll be ready when you come home from church. When everyone's starving, go ahead and have that wonderful meal together. Dad, lead in prayer. I know you can do that. That's not hard. And then as the meal is winding down, here's what we do in the Everhard family. I have everybody simply take their dish over to the sink and just drop it there. We're not going to get right into doing dishes yet. But we're going to come back to the table, and this is where, dad, the easiest way to lead some family devotion time is simply to discuss what you learned in church on that particular morning. So I will almost always have my youngest start first. And my youngest is going to give us a brief recital of what happened in Sunday school class. Who taught? What did they teach? What Bible verses did you look at? What did you think was the main idea that the teacher was trying to convey? And then after that, I'm going to move from the youngest to the next youngest and to the next youngest, and we're getting older, and then we're into the middle schools, and then the teenagers, and then the college group, whatever it is. And my family, we have 4 kids in the home right now. We have 2 high schoolers and 2 college-age students. So the college-age students, they go to the adult Bible study. The 2 teenagers go to the youth Bible study. Each one of them is responsible for saying something and giving a recital of the Sunday school message first. Now, what that does is it sets a bar, a banner, a post of expectation in the family that you better listen to your Sunday school teacher. If you do this every week, it'll break them out of that habit of coming home and saying, nothing, I didn't learn nothing. No, we're not going to do that in a Christian family. You're going to come home and you're going to say what you learned. Even if it's in your own words and kind of a reduced scope, even if it's truncated, everybody learns something and we want to know what it is. Mom will share what she learns, and then Dad will finally share anything. Dad will fill in all the blanks that were left over, and that's going to be your first part of your family devotion time. Then what you're going to do a second round of that on the Lord's Day, and you're going to go back through and discuss the worship service, primarily the sermon. Now, this is a Puritan devotional habit right there. The Puritans were expected to, in those days, be able to have every member in the family recite the main outline of the sermon itself, which is why Puritan sermons typically went from text to doctrine to several applications, and even the youngest were expected to follow along the sermon and give a recital of it when they got home. So same thing, round 2, all the way around the table, start with the youngest, all the way up to Mom and then to Dad, and each person is going to contribute something to the discussion. Now, what that does is it helps the sermon to set into the mind and seep down into the heart. So rather than being passive, weakling type listeners who just kind of barely having things filter over their mind, you cultivate the habit of active listening. So that's going to be your basic way to do a family devotion on the Lord's Day. Now, on the Lord's Day, you should have 3 healthy habits. Everybody should. Number 1, gathering for worship. Number 2, family worship time, assuming that you're not a single person. And then 3, personal devotion time, reading the Bible, and perhaps in prayer. That's going to be the main 3 pegs of the stool of the Lord's Day together as a family. All right? Now, that's your weekly. Let's go to the daily. Dads, here, I'm looking at you again, but I'm also talking to single moms and grandmas and things like that. But on the daily, the best thing that you can possibly do is to have a regular meal together. Now, I understand. I've got a super busy family. I got kids jetting off to do school, and they have full-time jobs, and I got girls in high school, so we're crazy. But as many evenings as you can a week, have a real family dinner. Do not get into this terrible habit of having everyone grab their taco and going out and sitting in the living room or on the porch, or someone takes up their food into the room. Don't you dare do that. Your meal time is critical family time every single day. And if you can pull it off 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times a week, do it as much as you possibly can. Sit down at the table, have fun while you eat, joke, talk about your day. But then, Dad, here's what you're going to do. Towards the end of the meal, again, everyone's going to take their dish over to the sink. And Dad, you're going to pull out that Bible. You're going to set it down on the table, and that's going to set the expectation for what comes next. And Dad, this is so easy. A caveman can do this. All you have to do, Dad, is simply open that Bible and read a paragraph or so, and then go around. Same thing like we did last time. We're just going to ask from the smallest to older to Mom, and then finally to you, what that text means, okay? Just simply reading through the Bible. Now, in the Everhard family, we've done a lot of books of the Bible together this way. We did the book of Acts. We've done the Gospels. We've done Jonah. We did Judges. We did, what did we do? Was it Ruth next? Right now, we're in Ephesians. We've read a lot of the Bible together, just reading a paragraph or even a chapter at a time and just discuss it. And then all you have to do, Dad, after that, you take your prayer requests, have everybody name a prayer request, and then you pray, and you are good to go. That's your daily. So you've got your weekly, you've got your daily. Now let's move on to something that's a little bit harder. And I'm going to admit that this is a little bit harder, Dad. But after that, you are going to want to catechize your children, which means to take them through one of the catechisms of the faith. And for most Reformed believers, that is going to be the standard-bearing set of doctrinal teachings, which is the Westminster Confession of Faith. If you're Baptist, you've got the 1689. If you're Lutheran, you've got your shorter catechism of Luther and some of your other doctrinal statements. But for Presbyterians, it's the Westminster Confession of Faith. You've got the shorter catechism, Dad, to teach your children while they're young. Now, here's the theory right here. Even if they're young, get all the content into the mind. That's the grammar. And then as they get to understand it, that's the logic. And then as they get older than that, they're going to defend it. That's the rhetoric. So we've got grammar, logic, rhetoric. Those are the steps of catechetical device. Eventually, you want your kids to know the material, to understand it reasonably, and then to be able to defend it in the face, in the face, I should say, of the unbelieving world. Okay, so dads, what you're going to do is a few questions at a time, you're going to have your children memorize the shorter catechism. Now, it strikes me that I should probably make a separate video on how exactly to do that, because it is easier said than done. But trust me, it is well worth the effort to catechize your children. We're doing that in the Everhard family right now with our 2 teenage girls. We are on question 81 through 85 right now, and we're getting there. There's 107 questions, and we're going to get them all done, Lord willing, as long as God sustains us through this. It's a challenge. It is hard, but we do this. Now, in our church at Gospel Fellowship PCA, we actually have a program for memorizing the shorter catechism. This is something that the church needs to support. It's really hard to do it if you don't have help. So we reinforce that on our Christian Education Committee by having a teacher, Sunday school teachers, and members of the committee who actually listen to the children recite their catechism. And there are small kind of little rewards as we go. And then our church actually offers a scholarship for college to anyone that can memorize the whole shorter catechism. So whenever kids do that, we actually bring them to the front, and we do a little award ceremony. It's really cool. The whole church really appreciates it. And that reinforces the positive community standard that we are a catechetical people as Presbyterians. Now, I'm going to recommend this book right here. This is the Westminster Confession of Faith. This is the hardback edition. This is the best one there is, and I'm going to put a link in the description of this video because there's so many other editions to the Westminster Confession of Faith. But this is the best one. This is the hardback edition. It's a sewn binding. This is definitely the one to get. Some people have a hard time finding it on Amazon, so follow my link. It's going to be an affiliate link, but you can follow it over to Amazon and grab this particular edition there. Okay? Now, let me share with you something that I wanted to mention. I have not talked about this in a long time, but when I was back at Faith Church in Brooksville, we actually did something a little bit unusual. We came up with this right here. This is the Children's Catechism. It's a Bible verse memory system. So this is a little bit different in that every single answer to every single question is a Bible verse. That's how we did it at Faith Church. I have every intention to revise this now that I've got my Independent Reformed Media up and running. I'm going to revise this in coming days. It's already on Amazon if you want to get it. But the difference between this and the shorter catechism is that every question leads to a Bible verse answer. So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. And if you're interested, you can get this on Amazon too. So here's an example. Who made everything? Answer. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. See that? So it's catechetical in terms of question and answer format, but it's also direct Bible quotations for the answer. So actually the kids are memorizing scripture. Number 2, what did God think about all that he had made? Answer, God saw that it was good, Genesis 1:25. How did God make people? Answer, God created man in his own image, Genesis 1:27. Okay? So what we do with that is you put little stickers on that number 1, number 2, number 3 blocks, and as they memorize their Bible verses, then you put stickers on there. So you can actually get that on Amazon if you want. It's very cheap. It's just a little paperback, and the fun is for the kids to fill up the stickers as they go along with that. And I am going to revise that, make it look a little sharper in the coming days. Okay, so that's available to you if you are interested. Now, the next way that I want to mention to do father-led or godly man-led family time is to simply talk about issues as they come up. You know, brothers, we live in a really crazy world today, and almost every single day there's a topic that Christians should be discussing. And you want your children to have really well-formed worldviews, and the best way to do that is to talk about the Christian response to every single day's events. This is another thing you can do at the dinner table. Just talk about what's going on. So, for instance, yesterday, unfortunately, Ohio enshrined abortion into their constitution. Ugh, disgusting, right? Well, that's an opportunity for us to talk about the news as it goes and how Christians should see the world. Or we might think about the war between Israel and Hamas. What is it that is causing this ancient hatred to keep spilling over into violence? Well, Neither side has the Messiah, so that's kind of a problem, right? They need the Prince of Peace in order to attain peace. And so we can constantly be talking about the news cycle as it goes, because every day there's another lesson that fathers should be instructing in their children. So simply talking about contemporary events is a form of education in and of itself. Next thing I want to mention, I've got two more here and then I'll be out for this morning, is the personal meeting between you and your children. So it's good for you to have family time, especially at the dinner table and especially on the Lord's Day, if you can't pull off anything else. It's also very beneficial for you to take out each one of your kids to a special time to talk about their lives on the regular, okay? Take your son out to lunch and go get some cheap sandwiches and talk about his college plans or his major or what career he's thinking about doing. Take your daughters out and talk to them about boys or about their grades or about their challenges or about what they're teaching in youth group. Each one of your kids, though, you should try to have some special time with them so you can talk about their lives and address the needs that they have in their own particular hearts and in their own particular minds. Even as I'm saying this, please don't think I'm the perfect dad, because I'm being convicted right now that I actually need to do this a little bit more often with my own 4 kids. So don't take this video as something like an expert lecture from a person who has everything together. Some of these things I do pretty well. Others of these things I am not doing great at all. So please don't feel condescended to in this video. I'm only trying to spur on, like brothers in Christ, some helpful habits here. Finally, there are a number of other ways, and I'm just going to put this under the category of other, for you to lead your family in a Christian way. One of them would be to sing together. Now, the reason I didn't make a big deal about this one is because I can't do this. I can't play the piano. I wish I could. I can't play the guitar. I wish I could. I wish I had a much better voice than I do. Man, I would love it to be able to have everybody come over to the piano and play some of the hymns of the faith. Brothers, you could probably ask your pastors if you had a bunch of worn out hymnals somewhere in your church that maybe you could buy, or you could probably buy some used online. But it is a wonderful tool to have a good hymnal in the home. And man, again, I wish I could do this, brothers, but some of you can do it much better than me, so please don't neglect the doing of that. There have been other times, still under the category of other, where I've actually prepared lectures for my family and gave them all notebooks and said, here, kids, take notes on this. I famously did that with logic, a multi-week lecture on logic. My kids still talk about the time that I got out the PowerPoint and went through the rules of logic with them. We've done it also on our own family history, the Everhard family history. So yes, I will not be ashamed to put the old laptop connected to the TV screen and go through lectures with my kids and expect them to take notes. Hey, why not, right? You're the dad. You can do whatever you want to. Teach those kids in the Lord. And then finally, you know, one thing I didn't mention, but I have mentioned before in other times on this channel, is just the reading through of books together. I just got this one here from Reformation Heritage Books. They are doing such awesome things here. This one is called Glorifying and Enjoying God, 52 Devotions Through the Westminster Shorter Catechism. We've only done this once with my family, but this book, from everything I can tell, is a really good way to study the Catechism together. You can just read through the Catechism and then read these devotions. They're about 2 pages, so it's not too much, depending on the kids' ages and their attention span. I am also going to thank Reformation Heritage Books for sending this to me for my evaluation, which I'm going to do, and also post a affiliate link in the description of this video so you can jump over there and grab it on Amazon, or just go to Reformation Heritage Books website and get it right there. All right. Well, I'm interested to know what I said correctly in this video and also anything that I missed in this video. Dads, if you have any awesome ideas for how to lead your families in the Lord, please comment here in the comments, and that'll be great. That's all I've got for you today. I do love you lots, brothers. Please hang in there. Keep going. Love you lots, and we'll talk to you later.